Hello, and welcome to the X Life Podcast. My name is Christine, and on this show, we talk all things love, friendship, fun, health, and personal growth. In today's episode, we're talking about the 5 fears of moving forward with divorce. First of all, I want to acknowledge you being here, and I want to acknowledge that you've made this very big decision. I do not take that lightly. I've been in your shoes. And I realize it's not easy, but it's very brave. And so I just want to acknowledge that before we begin. So getting right to it, the 5 fears. The first fear that I know I definitely experienced, I can't imagine any person that's made the decision to leave a marriage and actually get a divorce has never thought, what's wrong with me? Like, my friends seem to have successful marriages, my parents. I have really good examples in my life. What did I do wrong? And the answer quickly is nothing is wrong with you, but it's very normal to feel this way. It is very normal, especially when in other areas of our lives, we are kicking ass, like for real. You might be a badass at work. You might have a successful side hustle. You may be a killer mom. And for some reason, you just can't make it work. And you know what? It takes 2 to do that. And sometimes relationships cannot be fixed. So let's start right there with not beating yourself up. There's nothing wrong with you. So the only thing I want to say here is the only thing that would be wrong is if you stayed in a situation where you weren't happy and you didn't do anything about it. So please just trust me, there's nothing wrong with you. And I know you're going to have days where you think that, but there isn't. There are lots and lots of people that have gone through this process, myself included. And unfortunately, if it doesn't work out, then you're going to be disappointed, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Number 2, what will people think of me? And this is a big one. This is a big issue that I've experienced because although we're not supposed to, worry about other people's opinions and we're just supposed to live in our little bubble, it's hard, particularly when those closest to you, your friends or your family, might have loved you as a couple. They might have really loved your partner. And the fact is, though, they're not in your marriage. They don't know the person like you do. And they don't know the things that have gone on that are creating the circumstances that made you decide it was time to move on. So even though these are close friends or family to you, people you value their opinion, they don't really get an opinion in this. You're the one that's in the situation. You're the one that's not happy. And you're the one that's been brave enough to take this step forward. And although it's going to be hard for their perception, because again, they may have liked you married, they may have liked you in a couple relationship, unfortunately, it's not up to them. And don't listen to anyone else's judgment. And don't be ashamed. You should be proud. You should be proud because this is hard. This is a hard decision to make. And I know that it took you a while to get here. And I know that you can look yourself in the mirror, which is all that really matters, and say, I did everything I could. This situation is unfixable, unsavable, and I need to move on with my life because I know there's more out there for me. So as hard as it is, just do not take in what other people say. And you know what? You can always say, I appreciate your opinions, but this is the decision I've made, and I hope that you respect that. And we'll get more into telling your friends and family in a future episode. So I'll be here for that. This third one, and it may not pertain to everyone that's watching or listening, but it is important, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up. The third fear is what if I mess up my kids? This is huge. And when I was separating from my son's dad, this was a big concern of mine because I always wanted a family, and my parents are still together after all these years, over 50 years. And it just broke my heart that I couldn't provide the same stable environment, at least in my mind. And then I started thinking about what stable meant. And let me tell you a story, first of all. When my son was a baby, it was within the first year of his life, unfortunately, that things started falling apart. And I tried everything I could. And for whatever reason, we couldn't get back to that place where we were happy, where I was happy. And there were disagreements. There was tension in the household. And believe it or not, my little baby, who was, young, under a year and a half, I could sense that he was upset when we were having these disagreements or these arguments or this tension. I could sense it. I could feel it from him. He would emote, in a stressed out way, crying or just upset, agitated. And my ex and I had always had this agreement that even if we had kids, we were lucky enough to have kids, we would never stay together for the kids. And that situation that I described was the exact reason, because if a young baby can be impacted and experience that energy, that change in the room, that tension, and it upset him, imagine that compounding year after year on your children. And I know everyone has their reasons, and if you've decided to stay married, which some of my friends have, I know the belief is that this is a more stable environment and their kids will be better able to handle this as they get older. My thought was, my baby was so young that he would not remember us together. But also, I didn't want him feeling that way. My job is to protect him, to raise him to be happy and secure. And I just knew that he was upset. And once I realized there was no saving my marriage, I didn't hesitate for that reason. So, staying doesn't mean your kids will be better off, unfortunately. And that's hard, because our society kind of makes us feel like we should stay together for the kids. And I thought, and I think it's healthier for them to see you fight for your happiness, fight for a better life for yourself, and show them that. Be that happy person. Show them that you're brave and you can stand on your own 2 feet, and that you're doing this for them so that you all can have a better life, not one filled with that tension, those disagreements, any fighting, and any other unhealthy behaviors. So I know that's a big fear. Next fear, number 4, am I going to be okay on my own? And everyone has a different situation. You may have always been with someone and you've never completely handled life on your own. All the responsibilities, finances, bills, things like that. Or Conversely, you may be this independent person that was on their own for a period of time before you met your husband and got married. And so you're good, but you still might have some hesitations because you do get used to having that plus one, having that person that helps you with things, you know, just stuff around the house, paying the bills. That's hard. I get that. And it's scary to venture out on your own. But you can do this. And I know that there's going to be times where you feel like you can't. But there are things that I would recommend you do in those moments. An example that I love, and I'll come back to this again and again, is making yourself some badass playlists on your Spotify or your Apple Music. And I had this playlist for years and years and years. And it's like a survival playlist, a kick-ass, badass playlist that you can turn on and say, all right, I can do this. A couple of examples. Destiny's Child had 2 great songs that I listened to on repeat. One is Independent Women, and the other one, Women. And the other one is Survivor. And if you listen to those words, they will pump you up. And another one that right off the cuff I'm thinking about is Christina Aguilera, Fighter. There's some great ones by Britney Spears. Whatever you think will pump you up and make you feel strong and like a fighter and independent, make that playlist and just turn it on. And I'm telling you, it will put you in that frame of mind. So, just a couple of suggestions. And the last fear is, what will my future look like? Because right now it's kind of unknown. Your status quo has been you're married. This is where, how your home situation looks. This is how your day-to-day goes. This is what your routine is. But that's going to change, obviously. You're moving forward for a reason. But the great news is this is a whole brand new chapter in your book of life. And you get to write it. You get to write it. So, there's going to be uncomfortable moments where the unknown is scary. But it can also be exciting that you've decided to move on. You've taken those steps forward. You've stepped out into a brave new world, as they say. A whole new world. I'm just going to sing now. But don't stay. Don't change your mind because you're afraid. Be that brave badass that I know you are. And trust me, I know it's hard. I know it's scary. But you're fighting for this new life. So your future is whatever you want it to be. And you know what? You're not alone. Number one, I'm here for you. I've been through this, unfortunately, more than once. And it takes courage, but it can be done. It can be done. And there are many other people out there. I know it's not the cool thing to get divorced or be divorced, but there's lots of people out there that are divorced and they've survived. They're thriving, and that's what I want for you. That's why I'm here. And I just want to give you another story. Before I do that, though, I was just thinking about You Are Not Alone by Michael Jackson. And that song is true of how I want you to feel about me being in your life. You are not alone. I'm here with you. I am here. And your friends are there. So just know that. I know you may feel alone at times, but that's not the truth. So back to my story. It really just takes remembering one experience where you conquered a fear, where you were a badass, where you were thinking, there's no way I can do this. No way. But you did it. You did it. So I'm going to give you my example. Years ago, and I was thinking about this today, it's been almost 30 years. Next year will be 30. I was young. I was going through my first divorce, and I was raised Catholic. You know, it's a sin to get divorced. And I felt the Catholic guilt. I did. You know, you're raised to get married, you know, and that was it. That was your forever. And I just felt so much guilt inside. I was, you know, everything inside was making me feel bad about myself. All the fears I mentioned were there. And I had been following Tony Robbins for years, ever since he was on late night infomercials. I'm not trying to, you know, age myself here, but late night television. I bought the VHS tapes. There's probably his stuff right over there from back in the day, which I ended up replacing with DVDs. But back to the story. So he had a seminar called Unleash the Power Within. And I decided, I couldn't really afford it, but I saw the advertisement that it was going to be in DC. And that's not too far away. So I decided I'm going to go. I'm going to put it on a credit card because I need this. I need something to help. And it's a weekend, and you go Friday to Sunday. And Friday night, it starts about 7. And that night, he talks to you and he amps you up. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened to Tony Robbins, but he is just full of energy, and it's contagious. And his methods work. And being there in person was an incredible experience. So he taught us methods to change the way we felt, change the way our mind thought and perceive things. So on night 1, the end of the night, is the firewalk experience. You are right. If you're thinking, what? Are you walking on fire? Okay, it's not fire. These are hot coals. They were on fire. Now they're really just blazing hot. So picture an old grill with the coals in there that you're cooking with. And that's pretty much what it was. So the methods he taught you were mind over matter, basically. And I don't want to spoil what they tell you to do in case you ever want to go. But it's about an 8-foot bed of coals. And, you know, I was doing pretty good. And it was just at the very end, I started to lose focus. And just to prove that they were hot, because I'm really proud of the fact that I had proof that they were real. Later on that night, I got home and I had 2 little teeny pieces of like ash inside my foot. And I was like, wow, that was real. I walked on a hotbed of coals. I can do anything. And that set the tone for the whole weekend. I left there on fire. And I think of that experience anytime I'm saying to myself, I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, yes, you can. You walked on coals. You're a badass. And so are you. What is your firewalk experience? Think about that. Take a minute. Really, like, go back there. Think about where you were, how you felt, you know, the smells. What did you hear? Really make it vivid for yourself. And that is your, like, grounding moment for this whole future for yourself. Because if you can do that, you got this. You got this. So how do we move forward from these fears? And the first one, if you'll remember, is like What's wrong with me? 100% nothing is wrong with you. Absolutely nothing. You are normal. This has nothing to do with whether you're a failure or not. You're absolutely not a failure. The marriage didn't work out. The marriage failed. But there's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with that. People change. The environment may have been unhealthy. Whatever your reasons are, there's nothing wrong with you because you are moving forward. You're taking that bold step to move forward, and I applaud you. So let's think about what area of your life are you just a badass? Is it work? Is it the mom? Are you like great mom, super mom? Are you a great chef in the kitchen? You love to cook. Everybody asks you to bring certain dishes when you get together. What is it? What is your thing? And you know what? That's the costume that I want you to wear. The fake it till you make it costume. I know it sounds weird and it's not literal, or it could be. Okay, so let's think about this. You're a badass at work. Take that approach while you're going through this divorce process. Take that approach and put on your work hat. Pretend you're at work. Pretend you're dealing with your customers, products, anything. Or you're a killer mom. Be that boss mom going through this. Put that on. Act like your divorce is another child. Your child. And your job is to, be fair, but also a little stern at times, but also maybe mix in a little fun. Or you're the killer chef in the kitchen. Man, put on that apron, girl. Put on the apron and kick ass at this. You got it. Just like you weren't born knowing how to cook, but you learned. And you know what? You're going to learn how to get through this. But you have to put on that cloak. I'm thinking of Harry Potter right now. You're going to put on whatever makes you feel powerful, literal or not. And you're going to have the courage to keep moving forward because you are a badass. You just have to remember that. This may be new territory. That's okay. You got this. You can handle it. So that's how you move forward. Have that confidence. You got it. Second action plan 4. What will people think of me? Well, they don't get an opinion. They don't get a voice. It's really that simple. And they say, sometimes friends are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And if these friends are not going to stand by you and be supportive, then their season is over. But we'll talk about making new friends too. I promise. We will talk about that in case you're worried about losing friends. Don't be. Don't be worried. But I'm telling you, you will have those friends that are ride or die. They will be there for you. And again, like I said, if they're giving you opinions you don't want to hear, just kindly ask them to respect your decision. And if they can't be supportive, you either have to move on or you won't talk about this subject anymore. Same goes with family. Family can be very difficult because they've known you the longest. They feel like they have an opinion in your life, but they don't because they're not living it. You are. So as part of your costume, whatever you're going to put on, maybe add a bulletproof vest and just deflect any type of negativity because you don't need that. You should be proud of yourself and you don't want anybody bringing you down. Thirdly, your kids. What if you mess up your kids? What if you stay and mess up your kids? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about what your life would look like in a year, 5 years, or 10 years if you stay in this current situation as it is. Picture what would happen. Picture maybe it getting worse too. And how are your kids going to live through that? How are they going to be impacted by that? How are they going to think and feel? Are you showing them the example that you want to show them? Is this the example you want to set for a happy, healthy life and a life to strive for? Are you going to show them that you're okay with wasting away in a bad situation for the kids? Because it's not for the kids. You're doing this for them. You're moving out of a situation that's not working and toward something that will work better, will make you so happy. You're going to show them how strong you are, how courageous, and you're going to be there for them. And here's kind of a good part. Here's how I always thought about it. If you're doing a shared custody situation, which was what I did, it was 50-50, week on, week off. The good part about the time you spend with your kids is it's just you. It's just you and your children. They're not with their dad. You're not splitting the time. Like, I don't know about you, but kids seem to go through times where they have favorites, favorite parents. And I had that for a period. And that changed when it was just me and him. And it made me so happy. I got to spend such quality time with him. And I cherished it so much because, again, it was week on, week off. So on that week on, I just cherished every moment. I really tried to make things special and fun. And I really tried to have the best impact I could. Again, it's such a gift to have that one-on-one, one-on-two, one-on-three time with your kids. And the week off, here's how I want you to think about it. It's going to be hard at first because if you're used to seeing them every single day, I get that. But you can still stay in touch. Nowadays, there's FaceTime, there's phones, like it's a little easier. But also take that time to do all the things you never had time for when you did have kids 24/7. Do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to go out with your friends? Do you want to go see some live music? Do you just want to do some self-care? Take a bath without being interrupted? Mom. So I know it's going to be hard, but you're not going to mess up your kids. You're going to make yourself better, and you're going to make your relationship better. Trust me. It's just so true. And I look forward to you experiencing this as well. Fourth, am I going to be okay on my own? 100%. Heck yes. You're going to be okay on your own. Because you are a badass. We've talked about all the ways to think about in your life how you are succeeding, you're powerful, you're just kicking ass in certain areas. We all have those areas, whether we want to admit it or not. You could be an arts and crafts wizard. You could be the best cleaner in the world. Like, there is something. You're going to be okay. And so I know it can be overwhelming, this new world, this new life. But believe in yourself and start with one thing, just one little thing. What scares you? And it could be going out to eat by myself. Yeah, this was something I didn't do, prior to divorce. And it's a little intimidating, but you know what I did? Okay, so here's what I did. I love to read. So what I would do is I would go to my favorite casual restaurant, like a Panera Bread, Noodles and Company, where there's people, but it's not like a fine dining where it's obvious like, oh, why is she alone? I would take a book and Because your phone, you're on it all the time anyway. Like, it doesn't feel fun. Take a book. Take a great book. All right, if you're not a reader, take something else, but go to the restaurant, get your food, sit down at a table, and just lose yourself in that world of being by yourself. And same thing goes with the movies. All right, so you're going to walk in alone. That's okay. That's okay. Just be safe. Pick a nice, safe area. Right now, like, a lot of times you go to theaters, you can pick your own seat. Pick a seat, kind of by yourself, wherever you want to be. And take a nice snack with you. Yes, I take snacks into the movies. I do not buy anything at the counter because it's extremely expensive. But that's beside the point. Just enjoy an hour or two by yourself. And you'll walk out of there being like, I did that. I don't know what I was worried about. I don't know what I was afraid of, but I did it. And that's that one step forward you can take. And then here's what you do. Write a list of all the things that scare you, all the things that you're going to have to do by yourself. Whether it's the bills you need to pay, any chores, anything like that. And anything that you're afraid to do or you don't know how to do, just put it all on the list. And then the next page, if you don't know how to do something, find out. It's 2023. We all can use a search engine. Google what it is you're not sure you know how to do. And I know you can do this. But if you put it down in little pieces and you just take a bite at a time, it makes it more manageable. So if you do that little thing, the easy thing, you can just start building on that. And then you can start checking off all those things on your list. I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, with each thing, you're gonna get stronger and stronger, and you're gonna feel more comfortable. And trust me, there are those great things about being by yourself that you may not have had time to yourself before. You can like sit around in your, most comfortable clothes. You can take bubble baths. You can relax. You can do nothing and not be judged, not thinking, oh gosh, I should be running around doing stuff. There are so many positives to this experience. You can do it. Now, this last one is so fun. What does my future look like? Whatever you want. Whatever you want it to look like. I promise this is like a whole new world. I feel like I'm talking about Disney movies or something, but anyway, you get the point. Right now, take out your phone. You can hit pause on this podcast. You can listen and then come back and do it as soon as it's over. Record a voice memo talking to yourself about all the things you've always dreamed of doing, don't have time to do. All the ways in which, like, if you could envision your perfect life, your new life, what would it look like? Where would you live? What would you do in your spare time? What would you want to do by yourself? Are there new hobbies you want to take on? Do you want to learn how to cook? Do you want to go back to school? Like, really broaden your mind. Are there books you want to read? Like, anything that you want to do. Do you want to take little day trips? There is just endless possibilities for you right now. And that is what is so exciting. So get excited. Make that voice memo. And then, you know what? When you're having those down days or you feel like, ugh, this is scary and overwhelming, I don't know what my future's going to be, play this voice memo. Because this is you telling you what you want to do, what's exciting for you, what do you want to be in this new chapter. You can reinvent yourself. Trust me. It's scary, but so exciting. And you're being given a whole new opportunity to make a new life for yourself. So get that recording, and I promise it will help you. And another thing that will help you is to do that fake it till you make it thing and just act like the person you want to be, the person you hope to be, that independent woman, that survivor, that fighter. Act that way. How would that person act? How would they dress? I mean, it's true what they say. You dress for the part that you want. And you may not be feeling too confident, strong, and positive if you're sitting around in sweats, just Netflix and binging. But if you just make a little effort or decide to put on a little makeup, even if you go to the store, you're getting out of the house, you're doing something, and when you look good, when you make those efforts, you feel better about yourself. So just act like that person, and then it's going to become more normal every day. So now that hopefully I've gotten you excited, we've moved on from the 5 fears. The next episode is more about building that excitement for your future. We're going to change the negatives into positives. I promise. I'm here for you. And I'm going to leave you with this quote from Wayne Dyer. And I really want you to think about this because it plays with your mind a little, but it's so true. Here we go. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So let me just repeat that one more time. And if you want, make this a screensaver on your phone. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So, all right, have a great evening, and I will see you next time on the X Life Podcast, where you leave behind your X life for your best life.